What's up, guys and gals? I have a special guest today on Extreme Nerd Table. It's the Cantonese Comic Kid here. I got Randall with me. Yeah, here's Randall. Here's here's Anthony. Here's D, Simply Impossible Podcast, and our special guest, David Byrne from Steak. How you doing, David?
How is everyone?
We got David Byrne, everybody.
We need Anthony to bring the excited.
He's the David Byrne, co-publisher of Scout Comics, creator, writer for Steak.
Yep. Steak.
I'm going to bring Anthony around as my hype man.
That's fun.
Everybody's hype man.
I work for comics.
Get like a megaphone.
I don't need a megaphone.
So, Captain is in the chat. How you doing, Captain?
Ahoy, mates and mermaids.
Yeah.
What's up, Cap?
Yeah. And then, well, guys, if you guys have any questions for David.
Well, let's, before we hit with David, did anybody pick up anything new this week? Because then what we can do is we can do round the clock. Mm-hmm. And then after we show what we got new, we'll go to David and we'll talk about the new issue of Steak that just came out, right?
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
How about you, Jeff? You're the MC.
And I picked up something really cool this week from the UK. Well, it shipped out last week. So this issue 19 of Vampirella.
That is beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who's the artist on that one?
An artist that's actually never done comic covers before. So
really,
it's a weird name.
That is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then picked up
Chloe Grace Moretz did that.
Extreme Nerd Table's version of everybody. And then picked up Steak issue 3.
Who could have done that?
That is awesome.
It's already been on my pull list since I enjoy,
I love the colors on that cover.
Yeah. Francesca did that out of the park though. Francesca's art's really cool, man. Like I've seen some of her commissions. It's really great. Like
Jeff has already ordered 5 of them. We know.
Yep. And then I picked this up. Feels like Jupiter's Legacy almost. Reading it feels like almost like Jupiter's Legacy type story already. Like just
the Project Patron?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's written by Steve Orlando. I like Steve.
Yeah, and then pick this up.
I had that in my hand and I threw it down.
Wow.
I picked that up just to check it. I always check out at least issue 1s, everything issue 1. And then this one really for the covers. Nothing.
Who's that she's fighting?
It is
Aquaman.
Pretty much their version of Aquaman. It looks like.
It looks like Aquaman.
Yeah.
For a second there, I thought it was Homelander.
Yeah. And then this, I picked up the other issue 5. Their version of Wonder Woman. Yeah. Cantos. These are all the ones that I still got to read. I read Steak first. So.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Yep. And this one. Yeah. This one. And this one.
Oh, wow. Is that a new Geiger?
Yeah. The new issue of Geiger. Yep. Issue 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed issue 1. So check it. I'll give it a 3 issues. And then this one. Silver Coin. So I enjoyed the first issue, so waiting on that. And then actually something came in the mail from Tim Seeley from Hack and Slash fame. I actually got the hardcover. Actually,
nice.
the Kickstarter hardcover.
Did you know Tim Seeley will be at the Daytona Beach Comic Convention on the September 18th and 19th, along with myself and David Byrne? Tim Seeley will be there.
And I guess I'm bringing the book for him to sign and sketch in, I guess.
Very cool.
And plus, I have. Well, I got questions to ask David about some stuff. So, yep. Yeah. That's pretty much it on my end. So, what did you guys pick up this week? Besides Steak issue 3, like we all.
If Randall jumps on, I've got this. So that's
Randall's
new.
Randall,
This is a back issue.
your clock's running, Randall.
Uh-oh.
Pick up anything?
It's a back issue.
I actually picked up the new DC animated film. I don't have it in hand, but I can tell you about it. The new DC animated film, it was the Justice League World War II. It was actually really good. It was really like surprisingly good. Like I had doubts just based on the animation and the trailer. I was just like, I'm not sure which way it's going to go. And the action was good. Wonder Woman fighting Aquaman. Spoiler. It was really good. The way they animated the sound, the way they animated the fight scenes, it was like Wonder Woman was brutal. Like, it was almost the equivalent of like some of the Zack Snyder scenes where you see like Wonder Woman fighting, or even Patty Jenkins when you see Wonder Woman fighting in World War I, and you see her just like fighting, the soldiers. It's kind of cool. It was really cool, and I guess based on the voice actors and the way the story went, it looks like it's a new shared universe. Because before DC had a cinematic universe, the animated universe. So it looks like they're doing a new one now, based on the most recent animated movies that they've been putting out. So I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty much it. I don't have any of the books set up already. The books that I ordered, anything that I wanted to highlight today, but I at least wanted to share the animated movie. Oh, and it came with the Commandy animated short if you buy the Blu-ray. And the animated short, like I personally I know of Commandy, but I didn't really know much about it. And what's cool was in the animated short, they kind of tell you about the character, the backstory, and why the name of the book is Commandy. It all makes sense now, it's pretty cool. I liked it.
All right, let's go to Anthony. And besides, oh my God, issue 6 dropping, what else did you pick up?
Well, kudos to that Commandy. We got vintage Jack Kirby there. So I had a cool expedition this weekend. I stopped by a friend of mine, a guy named Frank, who owns a comic book store / CD like record store in a flea market in the Daytona area. And I traded a bunch of Led Zeppelin and some other classic rock CDs that I just can't listen to anymore because every note is in my head. And I picked up some cool stuff. The most appropriate, relevant thing I picked up is the J. Scott Campbell sketchbook.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
The first print. And what's nice is in the sketchbook, he shows you how he draws all his ladies very sexily. Shows you the because we don't want to draw women unsexy. We want them sexy. And I have all of Danger Girl and Gen 13 by Jeff Scott Campbell. And this was a first printing of the sketchbook. In fact, I might even have it. Don't know, don't care. Picked it up anyway. I traded them all for CDs. I also got this cool Rocketeer official movie adaptation.
Nice.
With a nice Dave Stevens cover. And it's the Rocketeer from 1991. And I thought that was a cool little trade.
I love that cover.
Then I got some Joe Kubert, Our Army at War, Sergeant Rock, a really nice 1970 issue, couple of 80s issues. I picked up through the guy's dollar bin a stack of Legion of Superheroes from the early 80s.
Nice.
About 17 of them. Cost me 2 CDs in my collection. No big deal. This beautiful Justice League International, Kevin McGuire.
Oh, yeah.
I have the first 6 issues of Justice League International, but after that, my run kind of ran off, and I just thought this was a gorgeous cover. And, and another cool thing I picked up a lot of stuff, too much shit to show you, real cheapy stuff, but cool thing, I got Doomsday Squad by Fantagraphics. And this was like the second printing of the first John Byrne comic stuff. He did this book called Doomsday Squad, and it's really early John Byrne. And I just thought it was cool. And then some other crap. Oh, this one more thing I wanted to show you. This is a very cool thing, and this segues into Oh My God coming out. Wally Wood's Thunder Agents. This was a book, JC Productions. This particular issue, even though Rich Buckler did some of the interiors in addition to some Wally Wood stuff, this was a Rich Buckler, but it was also done by a guy named Lou Manna from Staten Island, New York. And this cover was seen by a 12 or 13-year-old Anthony Sika on a drawing board being worked on, because Lou Manna, who did this cover, he owned a local comic book store on Staten Island, and it's the comic book store I used to work as a minor illegally part-time in exchange for anatomy and drawing lessons. So
Nice.
that's actually a person I know well. And even though he hasn't friended me on Facebook, he's responsible or partly responsible for some of the work I do. In Oh My God, issue number 6 just came out. Again, my contact information is below. If you're interested in issue 6 of Oh My God or any of the back issues, just message me.
Yep. And then Dale, did you pick anything up?
He's got a frisbee.
Another
Well,
frisbee for your
I do
disc
this
golf?
because again, I don't have an LCS, and it was kind of raining this weekend, so the flea market was pretty much empty.
Yeah, so you need a Scout Comics
Chris sold this.
vending machine, pretty much.
There we go. There we go. That's what I got.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah, I don't have
vending machine of comics.
I don't have the drugstore doesn't have a spinner rack anymore, so there you go. I miss those days.
Yep. And then we have David. Since we all said pretty much what we picked up, if everybody hasn't picked up issue 3 of Stake, it was actually really good. It was actually interesting. Can't wait to see where the story goes. But pretty much, if any of you guys got questions, leave it in the chat. I'll pop it up, and so David can see it. But any of you guys got questions for him first? I'll ask him after you guys ask. If you guys got anything.
How about Randall?
Randall?
All right. So I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So I would love to hear from you, David, directly from you. What's Stake about?
Okay. So here's my my not short elevator pitch.
Okay.
It's a modern day vampire tale where the opening scene is someone getting their heart ripped out on national and streaming television. So our protagonist is Angel, and it was her friend, and she was there and witnessed it. And 3 years later, she's now a member of the Vampire Bounty Hunting Union, where she's trying to track down the vampires who did it to her friend. And also it's her job. So she and a vampire partner spend their days registering vampires to make sure that they're not hiding and, draining people just randomly.
Oh, cool.
Interesting.
What was the are there any I would imagine you're a fan of like the vampire genre. So was there any kind of inspiration from any of like the films, TV shows of putting into Stake?
Well, Anthony will tell you that it's Buffy, but I don't like Buffy nearly as much as he thinks. I do. I basically like all of the vampire stuff. So
I got the feeling it felt a little like this. It felt a little like hack and slash a little bit. That's what I got the feeling of when I read it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if Blood might have been maybe an inspiration also. True Blood.
There are little nods to pretty much all the vampire stories out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an acknowledging what came before and taking it our own direction, because I don't know of any other series where they're not supernatural in this. They're actually just a step in evolution. So I don't recall any other series. I'm sure there's some out there somewhere, but I haven't read or watched everything that exists. But to me, that was basically where it started. And then I thought, well, what would be an interesting take on it? And then I liked the name Stake for a bounty hunter, and I looked it up, and no one had ever used that either. So I was like, all right, let's go.
Very cool. Very cool.
Anthony, got anything?
Well, the thing is, to clarify, yes, I have likened it to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but that's only because of the vibe of the young female protagonist who is anti-authority and his kind of being governed by a watcher type organization. So that's the only thing on Stake compared to Buffy, and the fact that he called his protagonist Angel, which was kind of where my mind goes. But a question too is I did bring up something when I spoke to David earlier in the week about the cool thing about Stake that I like, which is, by the way, makes it totally different than Buffy, because Buffy and a lot of vampire shows and movies, the vampires are always a clandestine villain and the hunters are clandestine hunters. The outside world doesn't know they exist, really. So the thing that sets David's Stake apart from that is that the whole world knows that the vampires and the vampire hunters live among them, like the Avengers living among people after the Battle of New York. They know that they're there. What I liked and what I touched upon with David a lot was I like the political overtones or undertones or a theme that's running through the book so far, which is really nice because it's the whole idea of the anti-vamps or the anti-vampers and the pro-vampers. David, is that going to come to a boiling point in a future issue where it's maybe raises the stakes, no pun intended, in Stake?
It may all be part of it. It's not going to be central. I think it's better to keep it as more of a backdrop and keep our characters more as like the street level.
Right.
So, think Daredevil instead of Avengers.
Gotcha.
So keep it more grounded.
Gotcha. Well, I was thinking if there was an issue down the road where you had a Winter Soldier, Captain Walker smashing someone's face in on a live stream, sort of impact, maybe that turn the tide, so that maybe the bounty hunting organization maybe gets compromised a little because of public sentiment, maybe like an X-Men scenario.
Maybe.
Okay. I was trying, people. I was trying to get something out of it.
It is so is Stake an ongoing series or is it a mini series?
It's 6-issue arcs, and there are at least 4 planned right now.
Oh, nice.
And then because it does feature vampires, basically there's thousands of years I can go back and tell little spin-off stories, which I did a Kickstarter last October for the main vampire character that was set in the 18th century. So we were already, kind of shoehorning in other stories that are before our current tale.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Well, my big question is if Warner Brothers, if one of them come to you and actually ask you to cast the movie, who would you cast for most of the parts?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, I honestly, I would look more at a show, and I think I'd prefer to go with more unknowns.
Okay. Yeah, or our extreme nerd table pick would be
Grace Moretz.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
I think she's got range. She could play every character ever.
I did ask Summer Glau to do a cosplay cover.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
She said, I'll give this to my manager, and then obviously I never heard a word from her.
Hey. So you're saying there's a chance?
Exactly. That was 2 years ago. So
Yeah, well, I mean, Summer's not doing much work right now, so
It's
Never
true.
know.
how many online Firefly signings can you do? I mean,
yeah.
Or
probably a
Terminator.
lot.
If you could
Alright.
choose any other comic book characters, if you got to do, like, if you had the opportunity for Stake to do a crossover with another publisher and with another character, who would you like to see crossover with Stake?
Well, it's funny because I was actually watching some of the Blade movies while I was packing for a con next weekend yesterday, and I was like, "Oh man, that'd actually be fun to have Blade come play with them."
That would
Very
be
cool.
awesome.
Very cool.
Because he's got kind of the same attitude.
That would be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
You know you guys all know my character that I would want her to interact with.
Vampirella.
Okay, you know what?
Vampirella?
I'm gonna do a spin on casting for Stake, right? Instead of a live action, instead of a TV show, let's say it got turned into an animated series or an anime. At this point, now you can choose voice actors. So would you still go with unknown voice actors, or would you say, you know what? There's a couple of people I like them as voice actors. I could see them playing the role of these characters.
Man, I don't know. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I'm just trying to finish the series and get it made.
Yeah.
I want to hear Sarah Michelle Gellar doing the voice of Angel in Stake.
Yeah, so they can really call her Buffy?
Yes.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
And then do a crossover with Buffy.
Oh.
And have somebody else voice Buffy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Chloe Grace.
Chloe Grace Moretz. By the way, David, just so you have a bit of context, about 4 weeks ago, we were talking about Chloe Bennett being cast as Dr. Aphra in a possible Star Wars new show on Disney Plus. And what happened is, instead of saying Chloe Bennett, even though he was reading from a news story, Jeff, I think, said Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah,
so it's been a running gag that she should just play everybody.
And it still makes me laugh way too much.
Yeah.
She is good. She can play pretty much anybody.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Get a movie where they're both
play every part, right?
Yeah. It'd be a kick-ass movie.
Well, I got another question for David. Did you have any inspiration? Because looking through it, the black and white and stuff like that, I had a little bit of like, it felt a little like this story here of Straight Jacket, where the only time it shows color, really, it's like whenever it's either blood shows or like certain parts only, like a little bit of color shows. And this pretty much was similar, kind of. If you guys had any inspirations from any other independent books that like were black and white besides Walking Dead.
Sin City?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody remembers Sin City. I used kind of that to show the original artist because his style, I think Anthony's seen it, was really scratchy, very dark. And I talked to him and I was like saying, maybe we could toss some blood in there, make it pop a little more, just so it didn't all get lost and washed out with being totally black and white. And then obviously with it being vampires, having some blood on the page can help a lot.
Right.
The first page of the entire book, I just wanted it to pop out, and it's someone literally having their heart ripped out through the front of their chest. So having a blood splash all over the place when you open the first page kind of helps, I think, set the tone for the entire series.
Are the issues available on the website?
Yes. You want to see the website? Let me show you where to go, my friend.
Yep.
I do need to find these because that sounds.
And if you guys in the chat want David's information, it's all down in the description below.
Yeah, speaking of crossovers, I know I'm like 5 minutes late on that topic, but how about crossover with Sesame Street and have the Count go nuts on somebody?
The Count is actually in a panel in this book already.
No! Oh my gosh. I was asking somebody just the other day if there were ever any Sesame Street comics, and everybody's like, "Oh." Turns out there actually have been.
So everyone, please go to scoutcomics.com. So for you, Daryl, who doesn't have an LCS, you want it direct.
I definitely do.
Go to scoutcomics.com. As you can see, you can look up titles. Whoops, that's submissions. We don't want to submit. Well, maybe I do, but we don't want to submit right now. We have titles. You can pick which comics you want.
Oh, very cool.
You can order them.
I think that's very user friendly.
And by the way, check out Scout's entire line, because as you can see, I'm not even to the G's yet.
We have a few titles,
and there are a lot of titles to get. So the Mall, very familiar with that.
I love the throwback, the movie covers for that.
Yeah, I lost out on the Carla Cohen covers.
The Recount, which is very popular, a lot of people are reading.
Snatched, heard of that.
Stabby Bunny.
That was very good.
And then Steak
was really good too. Yeah.
So as you can see, you can go and order Steak. And by the way, as you guys can see too, there's some really nice alternate covers. And there's Steak 1, 2, and 3. And Steaks even got some merch.
I was about to ask about that too, if they had merch.
I think I might pick up. I like that Steak #1 cover mug.
Yeah.
Got
like
those
shirt.
Steak shirts.
I didn't even know that shirt was on there. James must have done that recently.
There you go. And also there's a cool thing they have. If you see at the top, we have these Scout Comics subscription boxes, and there's a whole bunch of books in there, which is really neat.
Yeah, there's a holofoil edition, and like David said during Anthony's thing, it doesn't say holofoil straight across the cover.
I mean, that way you'll know.
Yeah.
So anyway, go to scout.com and buy every issue of Steak and sink your teeth into everything else on there.
Anthony, do you remember the code I gave you? You can share that if you want.
Yeah, what was it? Oh crap! It was
it's a Sika 10.
Sika 10.
Yeah, trust me, I watched it, so I know.
So if that's still available, enter Sika 10 for what was it? How much off?
10% off.
10% off.
But if you pay attention at like every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, we'll hold a big 50% off of everything sale.
Very nice.
So it's usually a flash sale for about 24 hours. So you just got to kind of keep your eye out.
Well, for someone like Daryl who doesn't have an LCS, go check out Scott Comics. I mean, I'm one to attest. It's not just because David's on the show. There are some really, really, really good titles, and Scout Comics is on the rise. So,
and they're
actually that leads me to a question I want to ask. Besides Steak, David, what are 3 other Scout titles that you really enjoy?
Well, I like to tell people one of my favorite premises is Forever Maps. Did I tell you about that one, Anthony? I think
yes, you did.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to sound a little like a broken record, but I really enjoyed the premise of the book because it's about a guy who finds a map, and at the end of the map is another map. And it's set originally back in the 18th century, and basically we see throughout his life, he just keeps finding these maps, and he doesn't age. So every once in a while he stops and takes a step back for a minute and has a little bit of a life. He has a kid, but he takes the kid with him so the kid doesn't age. So it's just a really interesting story. And then, you track him all the way until he decides to stop. So to me, that one's a lot of fun. I mean, I think I said it last time too. I love White Ash from my co-publisher, Charlie. His log line is Lord of the Rings meets Romeo and Juliet, but set in rural Pennsylvania. So you can take what you want from that. We don't like spoiling it because there is kind of a big reveal at the end of one of the early issues that really brings you into the world. So it's worth reading that first issue to get into it.
You sucked in, yeah.
You wanted 3. I mean, I don't like. It's like Sophie's Choice. I mean,
Just the third one is of David's is just get everything from Scout.
Yeah. I mean, tell me a genre. I can give you an idea of where you should be looking.
Boobs.
Okay.
Did I hear boobs?
Yeah.
That's a genre, isn't it?
On Kickstarter, I believe it is.
Oh, yes, it is. In fact, I think a feminist group just chimed in. They didn't like that map book because she said the guy didn't age and he took his son with him. What happened to the mom?
She had died.
Oh, all right. I guess that's okay then.
Spoiler.
I
never know. A feminist group could have actually chimed in. So,
or there's a twist. There's a twist. She's actually not dead, and she has another type of map, and they cross roads.
They're just on different sides of the country.
Yeah.
Or she's a woman and she just wasn't good with directions.
Oh.
Now they're really calling.
Exactly. If only they called this Sausage Fest.
Francesca's gonna give me crap about this, about you, Anthony. Now,
really? I don't know. She made those shirts that say "I'm a simple man. I love boobs." So
There.
That's the one we should be selling on the website.
Yeah. That actually should be a T-shirt on the website. It should just say "I'm a simple man. I love boobs," and then have the steak logo on the back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Daryl, you had a question for?
So I got a question for David here. I've already asked all the other guys. I'll probably ask you some questions that we have asked previous in other episodes. What TV shows are you watching right now, David? Which ones are you liking?
I was actually just before I came on catching up on season 2 of The Boys.
Nice.
Nice.
I watched Invincible already. I mean, I typically pick an animated series to just watch while I'm passing out at night, and so I just finished Gargoyles again.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. Now I'm out, so I got to figure out what I want to watch next. I might throw Clone Wars back on. I've done.
I was going to say Spider-Man the animated series.
What's that?
Spider-Man the animated series.
Is that on Disney Plus too? I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched that one
since
since
I
I was
took
little.
it off, and then they brought it back on. Apparently,
I might have to do that one. It's been probably since I was little that I watched that one.
Same here. I've been wanting to do that.
All right.
Daryl, do you have any more questions for David?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
How would someone that has ideas but doesn't know how to write go about passing on the idea to someone who does know how to write and go from there?
That you need to basically hook up with a writer and either get them to, you could pay them to write it, or if they really liked it, you could basically work together, but you're really going to have to pay the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Call Anthony.
I'm good at stick figures.
Anthony's ready to talk. He's giving you the phone.
Yeah.
I write and draw. Just call.
But yeah, I mean, like I would always suggest the first place to start for anyone interested in creating comics is Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics.
Mm.
So that would be the first place. Even if you're not going to write it yourself, you should read that.
All right, I got another question for David. So what's the co-publisher entail for like any, like for DC, for anything, any type of pretty much any type of comic book company? What's a co-publisher entail? Pretty much what their title entails.
Well, for me, it includes basically having a say in the titles we publish.
Okay.
I share the duties with Charlie Stickney, but I'm the one who basically proofs every book before it goes to print. I set up the print runs, deal with the printer, getting it to Diamond, getting it to Lunar. Okay. Any of the distributors. I deal with a lot of retailers on setting up exclusives, things like that. We all communicate with all of our creators, and it's a lot of liaising with retailers too, not just about like doing exclusives, but if they have issues, we try to answer them as best we can. So
pretty much the co-publisher entails pretty much proofreading everything that goes out from that company, pretty much.
That can be part of it. I mean,
yeah,
some companies that are bigger might have like an editor in chief who handles that. We don't have an editor in chief. We have an editor, and I'm the last line of defense before print. So I'm still going to read everything because sometimes if someone's edited a book 3 times already, they may miss small things just because you know what it's supposed to say. I know it happens to me all the time when I write stuff. I know what the words are supposed to be, so I gloss over typos.
Yeah, but that's what I just did today too. If you read this one.
Everyone, welcome to the show. If you have questions,
I have notes on your comment.
Zug.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of red ink on there because of typos and punctuation.
All right. So I got a funny question for David. David, to the right of your ear, next to those vertical blinds in your office, what the hell is that behind you? Because for the last half an hour, I've been trying to rub my screen. I thought there was some gook on my monitor. What is that behind you? Is that a cutout? What is it?
That is a cutout of Spy Deer Man.
Okay. You see that little
cigarette
hook?
smoke, but
the cigarette smoke or the hook that looks like from his arm, that has been driving me crazy for a half an hour. I thought there was something wrong with the broadcast, or that there was something smudged on my screen.
There's nothing there, Anthony. I don't know what you're saying
here.
I thought it was a ball.
It was reminding you of the beginning of Look Who's Talking, the movie, right? Is that what it was?
That's right. Yeah. I thought there was a thought balloon coming out of his head.
You didn't think there was a semen trying to get me?
No, I don't know.
So how did you
sidekick on the shoulder?
Yeah. But another question for David. So how did you get in contact with Francesca, since Francesca's in Canada, right?
Italy.
Okay.
Yep. And when her English is better, she'll come on and join you guys for a chat.
Cool.
Okay.
Honestly, I spend a lot of time looking at art on like Instagram and places like that.
Right.
And I liked some of her commissions, and she was working on Artemis and Assassin at the time for Aftershock. And I just messaged her and said, hey, I want to do a spinoff for Steak. So initially she was just supposed to do the spinoff. And I messaged her and she's like, well, I'm busy right now and I'll get back with you if I get free. And a couple months later, she hit me up and said, I've got some time. Do you have a project? And the rest was history.
Okay. Yeah, because her art is her art is pretty much amazing. Like I've saw a couple of her commissions, or just in general, man. It's great. It's like watercolor, right, David? Correct? Like
no, it's all digital.
All digital. Okay. It felt a little watercolory. Like some of her stuff looked a little watercolory. So I'm like, that's what I.
Yeah, I think it's the palette she chooses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if things get to the point where she can leave Italy, she's trying to come to the States for a couple weeks to a month, probably early fall or late summer.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Try to set her up for like an LCS tour around Florida.
That'd be cool.
Nice.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, you can skip Virginia.
At least Lynchburg.
just ignore Lynchburg.
Yeah.
They don't read there.
Yeah.
Well, not good with words.
No, or we can just get there on the damn the Scout vending machine, and then you just put it out of the and all they have is Scout comics.
Those are in high demand, and they're expensive to make, so we don't actually have any left. They're all at shops right now.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to get one of those?
It's more than 100 and less than 1,000. So
okay. That's fair.
And not as cheap to make them in bulk as you would think.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
I mean, that would be the next step, to have comics in everywhere, because it's a vending machine. So what are people gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The first time we showed pictures of them, there were people like, well, they're gonna get damaged falling down the slot, and we're like, It's just cardboard with an open face.
Yeah.
There's no slot. A vending machine that really dropped them out would cost us like $10,000 a piece. So we're not there yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, though, in Japan, they have vending machines with mangas in them, correct?
Possibly. I
Yeah, no,
wouldn't put it past them.
I've seen them in railroad stations and speed train stations in Japan. They actually have, vending machines that are equipped with volumes of manga and knocking them out like newspapers.
Brilliant, because you're getting on for a trip.
Right. But also, guys, I've been thinking a lot about that today, and I was including David. I was like, I know that we're all discussing independent comic book companies and things like that. But and then Daryl was speaking about the good old days when we did have spinner racks at every 5 and dime. And I remember 7-Elevens even just being packed with comic books and magazines for that matter. There's been a lot of controversy over the last, or at least conversations online by a lot of veteran comic people who were either criticizing sexy comics once again represented in manga now, but also a lot of people reacting to those lists, those top 10 lists that showed all the manga titles, the popular ones, taking up the entire list and not having any comic books listed on those types of lists. And a lot of people talking about, what should we do? Should we start doing it in the style of manga? And should we make them sexy and less politically correct and all this? Again, with all those conversations, I at least have been thinking over this past weekend about it's also about the accessibility of them. If David's company, Scout Comics, I know I went roundabout with that conversation, but I was talking about how everyone's talking about how successful manga titles are. Well, I was in a Books a Million this weekend, and I saw again this thing, one shelf of trade paperbacks from DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, IDW, Image, all the companies. And then 4 rows of manga. 4 rows. Then and then end cap displays. And then, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's, how you get the media and the message. Well, the message and the comics are being created. There's all these independent companies and the big 2 and Image and everybody else doing quality work, but they're not getting them out to the people. And when I mean not getting them out to the people, and I know like David knows, being a publisher and someone who prints comics monthly, if the demand isn't there, you're not going to create that large supply. But I think the problem with comics is that the physical media has not really changed. So why not have them in stores? Why not have them everywhere? And of course, I know that that's the reason, because of money and licensing and shelf space and all that. But why does Walmart and Target not have a row filled with comic books next to Field and Stream and Cosmopolitan and all that? Wouldn't it be great to see Stake or Vampirella or the latest issue of X-Men at the checkout line next to People and Entertainment Weekly? And again, somehow comics were taken out of the consciousness. It's so funny that comic related things are more in the pop culture consciousness than ever in the history of comics. Yet the actual medium that they're based on is non-accessible to the normal person.
General public, pretty much.
Thank you for calling me normal.
I have a couple of theories as to why.
Well, let's go with Rando, and then let's go with David after Rando. So, all right.
Oh no, I'd like to hear what David says first.
Well, I think for the big stores like that, it's point of entry for price, because you're talking 24 pages of story, in some cases 18 or 20 pages for $4, and it's tough. It's the model we have right now. Manga, you're paying $20 and getting like what, 300 pages.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's easier for them to carry and sell a lot more of those because there's just more available. Somewhere down the line, they decided that comics didn't have space at the big box stores, which it seems like that's something that would sell there. I know Marvel does with like the 5-packs at Walmart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, more than DC has some.
Yeah, DC has the giant size ones, like the 80 pagers.
Yep.
I know Walmart for a minute had that one indie publisher, but I think that was because the guy they were from Arkansas and knew someone who was an executive at Walmart.
Yeah. That Rooster Man or whatever it was.
Yep. So I mean, I don't know what we can do to get them in there. Like we're now with Simon & Schuster. Our first titles will be available. Like if you went to Target right now and searched for White Ash, that's our first one that the trade will be through bookstores. You could actually get it through Target.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's very cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're also competing for time with streaming videos, and we have how many streaming services now, and kids don't watch. They don't watch normal cable. They're streaming stuff on their phone that they can get in short bits, and they can watch it anywhere, and it's already on their phone.
Right.
So I think it'd be great.
I don't have the answer.
I think, talk about, you brought something up real quick, kids. I've mentioned before, I have an 11-year-old, right? He loves video games. It would be fucking really smart for Marvel and DC. Let's not even talk about independence right now. Marvel and DC should have one spinner rack or one small shelf in every GameStop in the United States.
Well, GameStop used to do covers.
Yeah, they used to have GameStop exclusive variants.
Right, but I'm talking about a shelf with the monthlies, or at least the big titles. Yeah. Batman, X-Men, whatever, Spider-Man, Avengers. Because let's face it, the minute the Hasbro Marvel Legends come out and the McFarlane DC stuff, the toys, they're in GameStop the day they're in Target and Walmart. And you know what? If you're going to sell Marvel and DC stuff, pushed merchandise in the GameStops, then I'm just saying it would be great to introduce kids to comics. It's a visual thing. That Walmart, that 5 or 6 pack at Walmart, that's on the top shelf above the Pokemon cards in the last aisle of every Walmart I've ever seen. In fact, the register is 10 feet in front of it. So you actually have to look at that. You're already outside the store and walk back in there. I just think it would be great if when I'm checking out, and I still see Archie's every now and then, but it'd be great to see People Magazine, Khloe Kardashian, and Entertainment or whatever, the Cosmopolitan, and it'd be great to see The Amazing Spider-Man. Because
you just gave me an idea.
It's a visual thing.
So you just gave me an idea. I'm going to use an old school term called synergy, right? Basically cross promotion, right? You just said Pokemon cards. Take something that people are excited for and put a special item or put some of those items in comic books. So like, for example, the DC, the Batman Fortnite, that should have done a lot better. The only reason it didn't was because it wasn't properly advertised for retailers. It wasn't properly advertised to the audience. And then once the audience found out, there was a huge spike. And now you see like DC Comics rolling out more promotions and more like, wow, this is a huge turnout. But maybe more of that, more cross promoting, more, pulling audiences from other, like you said, game stores. Why aren't game stores carrying it? I remember they used to carry single issues at my buddy lived in Brandon, Florida. And so when I drove out there in that area, we'd stop over at Books A Million. And Books A Million used to actually sell single issues.
They did until about a year ago.
Yep.
Yeah. I cringed every time I walked by the single issues because of the way they had it set up. Sometimes I have ideas of just making a PowerPoint presentation, and sometimes I feel like just reaching out to these big companies and saying, listen, you need people who understand how comic books sell, and you need somebody that can tell you this is where you need to put the product, this is how you need to present the product, and these are things that you need to sell that go with the product that will help sell the product. That way it's not just sitting there, damaged, folded over, people, just flipping through them like, oh, they're nothing. You got to treat them like they're valuable. You got to treat them, like with care, because nobody wants to buy a damaged item. Nobody wants to take looks at a damaged comic book and be like, oh, I'll buy this at full price at, $4 or $5, so. And same thing with GameStop. I think the only reason GameStop hasn't made the move, because I know they have a Diamond account. I know that they get like some of these stuff from Diamond, but they don't order the comic books, and it's because, they don't know. I honestly think they don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to market it. They don't know what to order, how to order, because there's a lot of single issues. Even with the way the comic book market is now, you have more publishers, you have more single issues that are constantly coming out every week, every month. And so if you're a retail location with a limited space and, you're more focused on selling, toys and video games, but you do want to bring in some comic books, it's kind of hard to determine like, hey, what do I pull? What do I, and obviously you should, they should pull, like if it were me personally, I'd say, okay, pull the top 3 selling books from each publisher, and then put it on your shelf and see how it sells. And if people have questions, but that's the other thing too, is you have people that work behind the counter that know nothing about comic books. So if someone asks them a question about it, they kind of just discard it. Like, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah. But you know what? Yeah. But you know what? The people at the deli that we used to pick up, or the drugstore in the 1970s, the late 70s, where I used to pick up comics, those people didn't know anything about comic books either. It doesn't matter. But what really needs to happen is people, and especially, everybody talks about kids are so into streaming and YouTube and gaming and stuff. How could they possibly love comics? Well, comic books are still a visual medium. At the end cap of every Target and Walmart store, the same aisle that you get your Star Wars figures and your Batman Todd McFarlane figures and all that shit, just put an end cap with those same titles. If Marvel Legends has all the new X-Men, then put the Jonathan Hickman X-Men's in there. If Stabby Bunny is available at Target, then there should be a Scout comic to go with it. Guys, after Star Wars came out, all that licensing between movies, people were dying to get books or comics or any kind of visual representation. If there were Mandalorian and Star Wars comics with Baby Yoda on the cover at the end cap of every Target and Walmart, those things would be flying off the shelf. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest problem is that comic book companies and comic book creators don't own and run the big 2 anymore. They're run by AT&T and Disney, and they don't give a shit about comic books. I think they just want to maintain the properties, the license, the intellectual properties, and they want to make movies and toys, and that's all they give a shit about. They could care less about Commandy or the latest Batman issue. They don't care, and that's a bad fact.
I agree to an extent. I think the reason that they don't care is because, when you present to them papers, numbers, when you present to them like, at the end of the day, it's numbers. They see those numbers and they say it's not worth our time. You'd have to have someone get in there, think big, take a little risk, and say, let's try doing this. And then if the numbers really shot up, then you've got someone's attention. Then you're like, okay, do that again.
You're talking about millions. You're talking about millions of copies that deal in billions.
Quite honestly.
Yeah, that's why I think graphic novels they're leaning more towards graphic novels, because you have people who can be casual readers. You can have someone that go into a bookstore. Well, not to mention I think there are more bookstores than there are comic book stores. And then not to mention some of those bookstores, they probably get more traffic, more people in there. Therefore, you get more sales. So that's why graphic novels, they probably look at the sales numbers of graphic novels and they say, hey, this sells better because you have more retailers, you have more stores. One of the problems that I've had with Diamond is, the way that, they promote, the way they do stuff. It's like, I don't feel like Diamond's going out of their way to convince people, open up a store and we will hook you up. We will do, there's less and less people that want to open up a retail store. There's sorry.
No, since you brought up Diamond, let's have David chime in on this too. So I would like yeah.
David, how's your experience been with distribution as a co-publisher?
Well, I've done both ends because I did own a shop. So I got to deal with Diamond.
Hey, Dusty Brick Brown.
Yep, I did the whole distribution thing through them. So I know their shipping is not the best, but they are the only one we've had for a long time. And now we have Lunar and soon Penguin Random House. But really, I mean, they just need to be getting the books in as many people's hands as possible. And I'm hoping that Penguin Random House means that Marvel is going to be in more of these big retailers.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that would be the best for the whole industry. But, you're talking about kids getting into comics. We started a kids line called Scoot, where most of the series will have a first issue for $1.99, and then we'll go to a trade that will be like that 6x9 Dogman size.
That's great.
That's cool.
That's really
the Dogman books and the Raina Telgemeier books, those all sell $2 to $5 million per title. So it's kind of crazy. There are kids reading.
No kidding.
Yeah. Those sell through Scholastic as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah, Scholastic's actually the publisher.
It's always been huge for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they sell at the book fairs that go to schools, and they sell them in retailers. A lot of comic shops in bigger cities, as far as I can tell, they get those books and they sell them there too.
Yeah, I know that the last couple of years, I know that DC's done a big push for young adult books, and then also for the kids book as well. I try to pick up one of each, just to kind of just browse through it, look through it, and see, like, because I've actually had a couple friends. They're like, hey, I was thinking about getting my kids into comics. And I wasn't sure, what do you suggest? So I pulled out some books and I showed them, like, oh, they make these are great for the kids.
Now you got
I got these just because I need to look through them just for market research.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. I mean, what's funny is, like, and Marvel's the kind of the reason behind it. Back in the late 90s, I mean, I applaud what they did, but at the same time, it made this huge shift, this huge change in the comic industry. Because obviously 90s was huge. You had the Comics Code Authority. Their job was to make sure that comics were good for all ages. So when you had big stories, like when you had the X-Men #1 with Jim Lee, when you had, Death of Superman, when you had all these big stuff that was going on. And of course, these were books that were available in the, drugstores and everywhere. It was easy to sell them because, parents were like, hey, can kids read these? And all I had to do is point at the Comics Code Authority. And I was like, you see that? It means anyone, any age can read this book, and it's so funny when I would see the parents, because you know that these people just have no clue, nothing. They know nothing about comic books. So the minute I tell them that, they you can see, like, the sense of relief, like, oh, good, I don't have to worry about it. You just made my life easier. Like, I just look for that. I can get that for my kid, And
then the parent gave the kid and he said, here, you can fucking read this.
Yeah. Now shut up. I'm just kidding. No, but yeah. I mean, I think that really affected the comic industry. Was like, now you've reached a point where you don't have as many comics for kids to read. So now, like, all these kids are growing up. They're growing up with very little comics, experience. Like they didn't have any comics for them to read. I mean, they have like the the graphic novels. They have like the kids books. They have those, and that's the other thing too, is the video game industry really, taking an effect on kids. Like kids are playing video games. They are on YouTube watching other people play video games, and it's like, so video games is just huge. Everybody loves video games. But yeah, it's just that, there needs to be some changes made, and there needs to be a way to really get everyone, not just kids, but like everyone back into comics or into comics in general.
Well, it's hard to, they're not accessible for a lot of people who aren't into comics, because you come in and Batman's at 108. Well, that's not the Batman I just saw in a movie.
All right.
Even kids series, unless they've got some evergreen product on the shelf, you come in and you're at Sonic the Hedgehog number 29. Well, I don't know what happened in the first 28 issues. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
Did you ever do you remember what Marvel used to do back in the like mid to late 90s with their books, the single issues? Do you remember the gatefold? Like the gatefold would open up, and they would tell you previously, and then they would even do like a cast, like a breakdown of who's in the book, and
it would be great too, like you just said, David. Say someone goes and watches Endgame, or watches Ant-Man and the Wasp, or watches anything, and then they go to the store and are like, "Hey, Junior's with them and says, 'Look, Daddy, there's an Avengers comic book,' and he opens it up and it has nothing to do with the movie you just saw." I think it would be awesome where when they have an Avengers, say there's 2 Avengers title out there, Avengers and Savage Avengers or whatever, and then actually have Disney's Avengers, where they actually wear the leather costumes that they wear in the movies, and maybe they're canon in between movies, just like Star Wars used to do when Star Wars was first published by Marvel. They had the movie adaptations, and then they had canon material in between the movies, where they, and it's just, that's the thing too. It's like, it's going in circles in the idea that it's a visual thing. And if you show the kids or the young adults or even grownups, when they go watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they run out online and they go order every, trade paperback because they're interested in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then all the trade paperbacks they get, Drax doesn't look like Drax, and Nebula doesn't look like Nebula, and all the characters look different, act different, they have different relationships. There's no continuity there, and that's a shame too. And I'm not saying that the movies you should never have reverse engineering where the movies or the TV shows dictate what's going on, but it would be cool to have a line of books that do follow the movies and the TV shows and the Disney shows. Like there's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The minute that ended, or while there was going, there should have been a Falcon and the Winter Soldier with that same storyline, instead of the Falcon is making out with Captain Marvel or female Thor or whatever the thing is, and then you have a whole other thing, and you're like, who are these people? And that's the thing. It's that synergy that Randall was talking about. But with me, it's continuity. People do get confused because they're like, well, why does Groot talk so much in the comics, but in the movies he just says Groot? And hopefully when Stabbity Bunny animated series comes on, and when Stake the Ride at Universal Studios happens, we have that strong continuity between the characters that you created on the page and, what the people are seeing,
Yeah. I mean, why couldn't they do something that's like called Start Here? And,
Right.
It's just always available for shops to order. Hey, there's a new movie. Start here. And you can kind of get a feel for what we're doing here.
I debate that they want to really make money. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, it's about the intellectual property and licensing and movie rights, whereas a publisher like Scout Comics is invested into creating great comic books for readers of all ages and interests.
Well, I had another question for David. If let's just say somebody like Anthony or somebody like a writer or a creator wanted to like give you their script of a book they wrote or something, how would they get a hold of anybody from Scout to like see to publish it or whatever it is?
It's actually very easy. Anthony almost clicked on the button on accident when he was showing the website before. We have a tab for submissions.
Okay.
It's pretty clear on the submission guidelines, and if you follow those, I'll be happy because I hate getting zip files because then I have to download them.
Okay.
And it states it pretty clear there. Please don't send us zip files. And any interview I ever give and people ask, I always bring this up. So that means that it keeps happening.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, we look for 5 pages and a cover and then a full synopsis.
Okay.
And basically, bring us what you've got, and we have a committee. It's majority rules, and if we like a series, we'll talk.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I actually have a buddy of mine. He's been on the show a couple times. His name's Marco Lopez. He's worked with trying
DC.
to remember the
DC. He got his little award from for doing the DC thing. But
no, it wasn't with DC.
Puerto Rican Strong.
He worked on Puerto Rico Strong.
Mm-hmm.
He won an Eisner Award for he was one of the editors on the book. And so he's always working on new stuff. He actually just did a Kickstarter recently, and they got funded on the Kickstarter. And but yeah, he and I will hang out. We'll talk. He's in New York right now, but when he was living down here, we would hang out. We would talk, and he's always like telling me like, oh yeah, I got a meeting with Oni, press. I'm gonna submit this, submit that, and but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping one day. Like, I'm glad you mentioned about the submissions thing. Like I would love it. He's got all kinds of ideas, so like it'd be cool if he got to submit something and got to work with you guys.
Yep. I mean, we're creator owned, so we don't pay page rates. We basically, people bring us their series, and we have a really generous split with the creators, and they own it,
Yeah.
Okay. So we basically publish things that we find interesting and that we think the community will find interesting as well. But we also, almost everyone who works at the company is a creator themselves. So first and foremost, we try to take care of our creators.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Have any of the creative endeavors of Scout been picked up for animated shows or movies or possible TV shows or anything like that, David?
We have some things that are being shopped. I know the ones that are closest are Long Lost and Hench Girl. They're actually they're beyond just having scripts at this point. So hopefully we'll see those sooner rather than later. But it's still Hollywood, so anything can go south at any time until you actually see it on the screen.
Sure.
But we have a relationship with Mosaic, which is a large management company out in Los Angeles, and they shop a lot of our titles. So we're really hoping in the next year to two at the most that we actually there will be something on TV or up on the screen that's got Scout as being a producer. So
that's awesome.
Cool.
I think it's coming. Just keep your eyes peeled.
Are you guys open? Like, I know you mentioned Mosaic. Are you guys also open to working with other production companies? Like, you have, like, for example, I don't know if you've heard of Legion M.
Mm-hmm.
Legion M has been like doing like low budget stuff, like independent films. They work
they're
with
crowdsourced, right?
Yeah. I know that they have scouts. They go to like independent film festivals looking for new projects to fund and support. So like, they did their own comic book recently. But I'm hoping that they branch off and they start doing some more comic book related stuff as well. But I just wonder if like
it was a weird size.
Yeah, it was like a magazine size, right? Like the Girl with No Name or something like that. Yeah. And but I mean, do you think Scott would be open to also working with other companies, or are they already kind of just like locked in with like Mosaic?
Oh no, like all our stuff is available to pretty much any production manager, but we'll send them if the situation's right to Mosaic, or some of our principals in the company. They work in Hollywood already, so we've got guys who know what they're doing. So we've got the boots on the ground guys here in Florida, and Charlie's out in LA as well, so he knows the industry. So it's a very good collection of people from all sides of media. So I think something will shake out sooner rather than later, but right now there's nothing super definitive.
Okay. And I have a love for event books. I have a love for publishers and stuff like that. Would Scout ever plan to do sort of like a because with all the different titles, no, but I mean, like you have a lot of creators, you have a lot of people. Would you ever consider like getting with all of them and saying, hey, why don't we do like a special Scout event book where we all kind of bring everyone together and pitch like a mini series where the characters are meeting with each other or crossing over?
It is a little tougher being creator owned or something like that. We did do a Scout coloring book where we took covers from a bunch of different Scout titles and put them in a book that basically, it was on the kind of paper you can, colored pencils, crayons, whatever, you could do that. We've had a couple of crossover books, Star Bastard and Loggerhead, and Stephanie Bunny and Gut Ghost. So
nice.
It's more because of the way we're structured. A couple of creators could get together, and if we think the idea works, we could do that. But to get everybody together would be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have that bullpen scenario.
Right.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily own all the IP. So
right,
exactly.
Just
say no.
Right.
Where Marvel and DC, they can say, well, we own all these guys. They're going to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think down the road that Scout will eventually have their own, instead of just doing everything creator owned, like there'll be like a couple series that Scout can say, we own these characters. We're kind of building our own continuity, our own like little Scout universe with these characters.
Yeah, that would be the goal eventually.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, don't they have like one? Don't they? What is it? Suns. What the hell is it?
Solar Flare.
Solar Flare. That's what I was thinking.
That belongs to James Hake.
Oh yeah. But okay, so yeah, because that was the first one that came. So I'm like, he's the president of the company, so the odds that like he would take Solar Flare and go somewhere else are very slim.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty much a Scout title.
Right. That's what I was saying. It's pretty much the main title that I even knew about Scout was because of that one.
Well, you're in Florida, right? So you've probably seen James at tons of shows.
Right.
He used to hit the con circuit pretty hard.
Speaking of that, what conventions or appearances do you have coming up, David?
Pensacon next weekend. So Friday through Sunday up in Pensacola.
Friday through Sunday. Wow, that's great.
Yep. And then pretty much at the May end of the month, there's this one. There's this con at the end of the month. I know that. So.
Oh yeah. So the following week after that one.
I think I saw Greg Horn posting about that.
Yeah.
Greg Horn's gonna be there. Eric Basaluda, like a bunch of creators are like big ones and they're all said they're coming. So
Scout gonna be at MegaCon this year in Orlando.
We have 2 10x10 booths.
Okay. So that means
sweet.
Yes, audience.
So we that's when we get to meet David in person.
Yep, that would be your next chance if you're not going to Pensacon, because I think the only other one I have between then and MegaCon would be GalaxyCon, and that's in Raleigh.
Speaking of cons, David, and very unusual and extraordinary displays that you've used in the past, will we ever be seeing future issues of Couch or the Couch?
If I have time to come back around to it, it's very possible. Right now, Stake is basically the flagship. So
for those who don't know, on the panel and also on the viewing audience, Couch was a very unique series or few issues that David had published when I first met him, and he had the extraordinary foresight to actually bring a couch to the convention at his booth. And the couch, believe it or not, was ahead of its time, because it was about superheroes getting therapy. a therapist couch.
So
And
it was before what was it?
It was before
the Tom King
Crisis.
run.
Yeah, it was before Tom King's Crisis. So, you know, of course, I don't know if all the heroes were killed, but still, cool title. And I just wanted to bring that up because we were talking about cons, and that was something that, you know, this time David's actually bringing real vampires to MegaCon.
Oh, spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. Real vampires. Speaking of vampires, don't you guys think that the vampire thing just needs to come back around, and there needs to be a steak movie and steak cups at Slurpee cups at 7-Eleven? I think because I mean,
I would be okay with that.
Those Slurpees, you get that cherry flavor, that looks all bloody anyway. You might as well, you know. I just think the vampire genre, for some reason, has been kind of like missing a little bit. Just
you know, it had that big surge when you had True Blood and Twilight and all that at the same time.
And then it was
cyclical.
And then it was like everybody was over vampires, but I think David Byrne's bringing vampires back.
Well, very cool. The idea it's a lot fresh. You know, it's a fresher idea. So
hope so. I mean, my hope is that, you know, if producers or anybody look at it, they're not like, oh, not another vampire story.
Right.
But you know, I don't make it with the hopes of it getting turned into something else. I love the medium of comics. So if it only ever stays a comic, I'll still be happy because I love making it.
And that's the thing too. Maybe some things are better as comics.
Well, like I said, I hope some, you know what I mean? I hope some cosplayer get a hold of it and then reach out to David. Hey, want to cosplay Steak? Want to cosplay this person? You know what I mean? Because of what was it? The Tim Seeley's ones. Like a lot of them, I've seen a couple of them, like even Vampirellas and stuff like that. A lot of them cosplay. You know what I mean? Cosplay is bigger now. You know what I mean? It's half of our media. It's half our comic medium, man. It's like it's more cosplay now than anything.
I think partially the reason cosplay is so huge as well is because of social media. And when you have Instagram, you have TikTok.
Right.
You know, it's a visual. It's a visual media. So like, you have like all these people that are, and not to mention some of these people, they're just very skilled at making the costumes. You know, like some of these people actually end up getting working for film and television. I had a friend of mine who is a cosplayer, and he was friends with a couple people who were big into cosplay as well. And I remember him mentioning that like one or two of them got to go work on X-Men First Class, and they got to help with the making the suits for the film. And I just thought, wow, you know, like that's huge, you know, to go from, you know, working locally and doing conventions to like meeting people and then getting a job and then getting to do stuff that ends up on a big film. You know, it's amazing.
Well, I got a question for David. Since I looked at on David's Instagram, that it actually shot me to your website where I saw you had a Carla Cohan Steak cover. So how was that reaching out to her to actually do a cover for you in general?
It was pretty easy. I mean, I did talk. Did I talk to Daniel first on that one? I think she's with Scott's, isn't she? Or she with Kirby?
Yeah. Scott's.
If I know they're with a big rep, I message the rep and say, hey, I'm interested in this artist. Would you want me to reach out directly, or do you want to connect us? Because they mostly sell their art, and then like if you're buying a cover from the artist, you just deal with them directly. But I still don't like to, you know, step on their toes. Right. But once you've made the connection, like these guys they're just people. I mean, they're really easy to talk to. Half the time, because I talk a lot and just say random stupid things, I end up becoming friends with them, and we're talking about things that aren't related to the art.
Right. Yeah, because like what was it? I think Scott had like not just your cover. They had another cover come out with Carla, and I'm like, I'm gonna go grab it, and then dude, no lie, I was in the cart for like 5 minutes. I was about to grab my card and pay for it. That thing sold out like. I'm like, son of a.
Yeah. Charlie was asking me. He's like, is it worth it to spend a lot more money on a cover? And I said, if you pick the right artist and you get a good looking cover, people will buy them. You know, you keep it limited, and you can charge a little more, but more people are going to want it, and it's going to sell out quicker.
Right.
And for creators out there, David, who maybe would like to say you're a writer or say you're an artist and you're doing a crowdfunding campaign and you'd like to contact an artist of that stature to do a variant cover for you, you know, just so that it's out there and you know, the public without any monetary value attached. When you hire an artist to do a commission for a variant cover, is it a one-time fee, a commission rate? You're not, say all of a sudden that cover of that variant that you did all of a sudden goes crazy and you sell 1 million copies, you're not paying royalties to the cover artist anymore, or is it just a one-time payment?
Not usually. I mean, but really it comes down to whatever you agree to with the artist.
Okay.
So usually it's a one and done. You pay them and you can use the art how you wish.
I got you.
Okay.
Sometimes, like, if it's reasonable and if they're not just a digital artist, I'll go out of my way and try to buy the art. Like,
sure,
you can see over my shoulder Zoo Orzu's steak covers next to the Shady Place poster.
So I know you had Carla end up doing a cover for you. Did you end up trying to get Carla's cover for? Did you try to purchase Carla's cover?
I did. It was outside of the realm of what I wanted to spend. It was an original oil painting. And she told me that after the pandemic, she's looking at trying to open a gallery, possibly.
Sure.
So she put some high prices on stuff so that she could keep it and have things to put in her gallery.
And right next to that painting in the gallery, there should be a spinner rack with Stake Comics.
There should.
So but that
I only have like 4 copies of her cover left total.
So when they pay that $1,000 or $600 or whatever for the painting, they can pick up your issue for $3.99 to go with it, which they can get their oily fingers all over that. You know?
So I have a question here now.
Yeah, instead of the paintings.
So you have the Scout vending machine. Have you guys considered making your own spinner racks?
We haven't. I know I have a couple spinner racks still. And they actually have a little thing so you can just brand them at the top.
Oh, okay.
So that would be fairly easy. And just really as a store, all the store would need to do is laminate something and put it at the top. They can make it whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to try to bring one of those to Pensacon because they fit graded books really well.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And then pretty much it's the car. Yeah, because I noticed like Carla's been doing a bunch more work because of her and Perillo are, you know, a couple are engaged or whatever. So, you know what, she's been getting a little more work, and I noticed, oh, hey, look, David actually got her to do a go.
Yep, her Zoo is doing a ton of work now.
Right.
I worked with John Jang and Aaron Bartling. Those guys are getting a ton of work. It's great
like
to see.
It's just funny because looking at all the covers, I'm like, almost every cover that David's done, almost every artist is actually blowing up right now.
I've got Kale and Allen. If you look at the, I think you got the incentive for number 3, the white one with the fight. There's number 4 is actually connects with an Alan Qua cover.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like a yin yang that those two guys do. They did a book together called Left and Right, where one drew the left side and the other drew the right side.
Oh, that's cool.
So I messaged them and I was like, guys, do you want to do a cover like that for me? So we'll do 2 issues that connect, and it turned out fantastic.
And you see all these artists are extremely hot right now because they're associated with David Byrne. And
that is absolutely it.
Yeah. Pretty much David had the foresight to see their talent.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Way in the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a Peach cover when she still did indie books.
Right.
Oh, really?
See, like I said, like he had the foresight to see these guys' skill beforehand.
Yeah, and and anytime I do like a campaign or something, I follow a lot of artists who aren't even comic artists. So I try to pull in people from other art worlds, like Sarah Fleur, who did one for the Kickstarter.
Like this guy's not even a comic artist, and this is his first comic cover. Yeah.
No, I looked him up based on your post. The only thing for me is it's a little off brand for me because he does do mostly nudes, and I really don't do any of those on my covers. So
yeah. But you can always ask him to. He might actually.
That's not a nude cover. I mean that's a beautiful cover.
Right. But you
There
might
could be a new line of Scout books, right? So you got the kids' books, you got the regular Scout, and then you can have like sexy Scouts.
It's called the boob line.
Yes,
the boob line. There you go.
Yeah, but like when I saw the Carla one, I'm like, oh man, she gave. I'm like, I know Scout. You know what I mean? She advertised for it, and then I'm like, oh, let me go see if I can grab it. I go try to grab it. And so I'm like, son of a bitch.
Well, Scout comics are in demand, as we've stated countlessly in this interview.
There's a Scout comic store, right? Is it out by Fort Myers, I think?
It's actually our HQ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I've been wanting to come out there and visit and check it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the shelves there that we don't actually sell on the store or in the web store. So there is some other cool things on site.
Do you do tours there, David?
No, and right now, because we're trying to get into a bigger space, my understanding is that there are a lot of boxes everywhere. So the showroom is a little overwhelmed at the moment.
Can't you invite people in to help you move the boxes in exchange for some issues?
We have a staff. We just don't have anywhere to put the books.
Oh, okay.
We've grown so much over the last year. It's insane.
I think it'd be awesome if eventually Scout got to the point where, like, you guys buy a building and it could be the Scout Comics warehouse.
That would be ideal.
Where did the name Scout come from, by the way?
That was generated by, I believe, Brendan Deneen and Jim Pruitt about 5 years ago. Right. And it has to do with, we're looking for the best talent.
Okay.
And now our log line is Adventure Starts Here.
Nice.
So, but I do have to, my battery is at 9% and I'm not plugged in.
Well,
so I think before I kick out without warning, I'm going to have to jump off of here.
We thank you again very much for coming on the show, David.
And it's an open invite for you, David. So whenever you want to show up again, it's an open invite for you. So
I have one last question for David. We asked him who you'd want to play his characters on a TV show or movie for the comic book stake. And he vaguely avoided the question. So now we're going to ask him something. Now I want to ask him something easier. David, if there was a biography being made by a major studio about David A. Byrne and his life or his adventures as a comic book creator and publisher, who would you like to play you?
Oh, geez.
Robert Kirkman.
I've literally never thought about something like that.
Well, now I'm putting it in your mind, so you can stay up tonight and think about who you would like to portray you.
You can put the switch on Anthony and say, Anthony, who do you think should play me?
I think
I could do that. I'd rather ask him, but I'm pretty sure he already knows who he wants to play himself.
I think either Joss Whedon and Joss Whedon from a few years ago when no one was mad at him, and then or Chloe Grace Moretz.
I'm down. She can play anybody, right?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
We'll see you later.
Hey, it was great talking with you, man. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much. Hey, everybody, go to scoutcomics.com, pick up a copy of Stake.
Yeah, it's down. All that stuff is down in the description below. Even Francesca's, a friend, all that information is down below. All our information is down below. Anthony, got anything coming up besides issue 6 of Oh My God being in stores next week?
Not a fucking thing, but I have issue 6. Gonna get it in stores next week. So it will be it will be mailed to Nerd Out Comics.
Yeah.
For those in the Tampa area, Fort Myers area, whatever area that is down by Jeff. There will be at Nerd Out Comics next week. 4 different covers. Tuesday on my YouTube channel, I may be celebrating the release of Oh My God issue number 6, maybe with some special guests But other than that, just pick up my comic. If you haven't picked up my comic, folks like Randall, who've never read my comic, but yet talks to me every week, you can DM me your address. Yeah. And maybe if you throw me some money on PayPal, I'll send you all 6 issues.
Well, you know, great news. I got my taxes done. So as soon as that tax money comes in, I'm messaging you, man. I want all the issues.
In between all the toys that you're buying, customers out there, and all the video and all the DVD copies of animated films and new iPhones,
credit cards, man, it's all debt.
And new monitors, I think I even saw earlier this week. In between all those things, if you'd like 4 copies of the new issue of Oh My God that just came out, I just got them Friday from the printer. It's $20 for 4 issues, plus $5 shipping and handling. I'll throw in some posters, and if you've never read the comic before, I will throw in 1 copy, issues 1 through 5 for you. So you get like 10 comic books and a couple of posters for $25. Direct message me, find me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, what the hell ever. I will mail them to you direct. That is how I crowdfund at the moment. I print the book, I get pre-orders and orders once the book comes out. And also starting next week, probably not this week, because if I mail them Monday, they're not going to be in Tampa by Wednesday or whatever. So probably the following week, they'll be in several stores in St. Augustine, in Daytona, in Tampa. There you go. Okay. Hey, William, how you doing today? At least William's still talking to me because I was mad. Me and him were arguing last week with Randall about I don't even know what we were arguing about.
I don't remember. I think every once in a while, me and William will get into a debate. But I remember first meeting him in the comic book group. We would have our arguments, but he's a cool guy. He really is.
I'm just joking, but William's great. He always chimes in on here. But I think I disagreed with something he chatted, and I called him out on it because I felt like him and Randall were just piling on. And yes, William, debating isn't arguing, and it's all good. Right. It's always good to have dialogue about entertainment because guess what? It's not that important that we should argue about it. What do you got going on, Jeff?
I got Cantonese Comic Wednesdays going on next week. I have to work on a Saturday next week, but that's not too much. But then I got the Extreme Nerd Table going on next weekend, and then probably Silver Age Sunday. So you have to keep a lookout. Just keep the bell on my channel. Keep the bell on Just a Little Podcast channel. Just keep a bell on for all the channels that you guys follow that we have shows on. So you never know which, what Silver Age Sunday is gonna pop up. And I really appreciate Anthony for reaching out to David, reaching out to David for actually coming to the show. So appreciate it, Anthony. No problem. So that's the whole reason I have Anthony and Randall for co-host to help me out with this, to make the show a little bigger and help them out, make their names out there, get their names out there. So to help you guys out too. So, but that's pretty much what I got going on. What you got going on, Randall, besides the new computer screen and everything else?
New computer screen, new iPad. Look at this engraved.
Randall begins.
I can write Randall. I can write Randall begins on one of my covers for you. I'll engrave it with a knife.
Yeah. No, I mean, like all these things that I'm getting it essentially for the business. There's a great company called Affirm where basically I sign up through them and I pay them monthly. So basically like a digital credit card almost. So every month I got to pay like $40 for this iPad for a year till it's paid off. Same thing with the new monitor, which I love. This thing's beautiful, man. 32-inch screen, curved. I put on Disney Plus, and I watched a little bit of Star Wars, and I watched a little bit of Avengers, just to see the picture quality on it. I love it. I love it. But yeah, I mean, same old, same old. Getting books every week, unpacking the books. Hopefully, pretty soon, I'll be making some career changes here, and I'll be able to get more days off, and I'll be able to spend all the time going through the books, organizing everything. Big sale, big mass sale. I want to go through. I've got probably 40 short boxes full of comics that I just need
the Extreme Nerd Table Randall sale.
Randall, how do people buy books from you?
Well, currently, right now, I have subscribers. So what I do is I pull their books, and I either meet up with them, or I go. I work. I have a deal right now currently with Big Red Head Toys, where if people wanted to do a subscription and pick up their books at that store,
okay.
I did talk with him recently. He said that he is actually moving his location. So actually, by the end of the year, that deal will be over with, which is funny because I bought that iPad for him to use because he kept complaining about this Samsung tablet that I gave him, and he's like, "Oh, I can't figure out Samsung." He's like, "I can figure out iPad." So I'm like, "Okay." So I go and I buy this iPad, and then he goes and tells me, "Oh, I'm moving out by the end of December." So
what happened to Daryl? He just disappeared.
Something came up, so he messaged me on IG. So
good. He just ducked out, and then we never said anything.
No,
he I thought a vampire got him.
Yeah, but honestly, it was fun. But can't wait to Francesca's English gets a little better, and then we'll have both of them on. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I saw her Vampirella art, man. It was really cool. Like her Vampirella was a really neat idea. So
her art's real good.
Yeah.
I knew she was working all digital.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. Not that I'm dissing on digital, but man, it's so nice to have those. Yeah. To have those like 11 by 17 pages.
Yeah.
It's nice. I think it's nice not only for the reader and the person that likes to buy art, but also for the artists themselves, man, because they have another source of income.
Yeah, what I need is a Vanderella from you. That's what I'm gonna need to end up getting from
me. I'm thinking. Would you like me just to do a new original one?
Yeah.
Because after Misty America 1, Vanderella is coming out and it'll probably be her own title. It won't be Venus and Mars. It'll just be Vanderella #1. So
that'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. So. And if you guys didn't know, he has another series starting. It's just not starting. What is it? Starting in June, right?
Misty America. It's been a hard road for me. The 6 issues that I put out. I'm not really. I'm fitting the bill myself every time.
Right.
And I am kind of breaking even on them, but I've been doing like limited runs. I mean, I do under 500 books. But again, I'm a self-publisher and it's my first book, and I'm not like distributing all over the world. But when I do Misty America 1, I am going to crowdfund it. I'm probably going to go an Indiegogo route, and I am going to be appearing on as many shows as I can get on.
We'll do an Extreme Nerd Table exclusive with you. For that
and that's it, man. I'm just, I'm just going to try and crowdfund it. It's going to be a very reasonable crowdfund, maybe $1,500, maybe $2,000, and see what happens.
Awesome.
I don't, and then I'll have perks. I'm going to have trading cards, and I'm going to have prints, and then sign shit, and and maybe I'll even throw in like. I'll do a second printing or something of Oh My God #4, which is the first appearance of Misty America. Maybe I'll have that as a bonus, or maybe I'll do an ash can. It depends. I took 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks off from drawing, just because when I finished this book, I worked on a couple of covers for Misty America, but I felt like I wanted to just get away a little bit, you know, like, because I think that, as Randall knows, anytime something you love, when you're doing it, when you're doing so much of it and it starts to feel like a job, then some of the joy is kind of sucked out of it a bit. And it's good. And it's good to take a little breather. And what's funny is that I actually did the first 6 pages of Misty. Okay. I penciled them at least. I didn't do the finished inks, but I had the first 6 pages done. However, taking a little breather as a creative type, I thought about it and I'm thinking of redoing a few of them and changing the story up a little bit, because things, watching TV, watching movies, watching the news, whatever the fuck it is, they inspired me to maybe shift a little bit. And I think because the thing is, when I first started writing, everything I drew was dictated by scripts or plots that I, loosely wrote down. And actually sometimes I wrote like heavy dialogue before like my first issue. And then after I did that, I said, fuck that. How about I just draw whatever I want to draw and then make the story fit with whatever I wanted to draw. And by the way, I love it. I tell anybody who can even somewhat draw and write, don't collaborate with people, because it's really enriching and great to just draw something. And then anytime midstream, I could be 10 pages into a book and all of a sudden I change up a funny story. The new issue on Oh My God 6, I had the ending, the last panel plotted out in my head when I started issue 1 2 years ago. Okay. I knew what was in the last panel. Guess what? Last month, I drew that last page and I said, I don't like this. And I added 2 pages after it. With a totally different hook at the very last 2 pages of the book. And now I'm so overjoyed that I wasn't working with a big creative team, because that wouldn't work. Could you imagine calling up the writer or the writer calling up the artist like a week before going to press? I literally did the last 2 pages a week before going to press, because I'm like, I want a little something else. And that's the joy of making comics. And also, you know what? I think it extends the joy of reading comics. It's really good to expect something and then get a little bit more.
So what you're saying is that the last issue of Oh My God is actually an Oh My God Snyder cut.
Yes, it's a director's cut, Snyder cut. Anthony cut. Because I extended it because I felt like I needed, and it's not a prologue, it's not a weird little, it's just, I thought that the reader and the character of Kira Palmer deserved a little bit more than I was giving them. And I felt like if it was the last frame of a movie, I would go, but I would also go, like it kind of let me down a little bit. And it was really nice to work like that. I suggest anybody that has a creative bone and they are doing comics, leave yourself room, because things change. And as you're working on stuff, sometimes your best laid plans aren't that well. And then all of a sudden you got to do, like in football, you call an audible and you change up the play a little bit. And sometimes those are the best results. And I think true creativity in comic books needs that. I think you should not wing it. You should always know where to start and end and what the meat in the middle is. But it's nice to stray a little bit. And in my case, I think people that read the book, when they get to the last couple pages, they're going to be like, oh, he threw in a little extra here, because it does feel like a shift. And the cool thing is, spoilers, because of the way I revised the ending, I could do, oh my God, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 to infinity.
Right.
if it ever got popular, or I wanted to revisit the character, or I wanted to create another character from the book.
Right.
It's not dead. And before it was dead.
I got a question for you, Anthony. So
yes.
What about if Scout or one of the smaller companies reaches out to you, say, hey, I've actually picked up on my God. I actually enjoy it. I want to help you publish it out and reach out to bigger audience.
I would be up to that. I would be totally up for that with someone like Scout or Image that was only creator owned.
Right.
If someone like Marvel or DC wanted to buy it from me, I wouldn't sell it.
Well, yeah, that's not what I'm asking.
But yeah, creative. I would. Believe me, I know David personally.
Right.
And before he was at Scout. Right. And the thing is, I am going to see him in a couple months in Daytona.
Right.
I will give him, the publisher, all 6 copies and say, hey, take a read of this and let me know, if maybe you'd be interested in it. And then and that's an easy way instead of me submitting PDFs through, whatever. And as a friend, I would think he would probably at least read 1 issue instead of just 5 pages.
Right.
And tell me what he thinks, and actually
give your honest opinion.
I would actually tell him just to read the inside page of the new issue, because I actually tell you story so far. Right. I tell them what happened so far, right up to that issue in every issue. Right. And I would love my creative endeavors to be published by a bigger company, so that thousands of people would see my work and
I got a question.
Yell at me on the internet.
I got a question for you though. Well, let's just say Scout or one of them pick you up.
Yes.
And then you get to pick an artist to do, a variant cover. Who would you want to do your variant covers?
J. Scott Campbell. Chloe Grace Moretz. I'd like her to do a Crayola rendering. No, let me think about that a little bit. Let me see if I can.
I'll ask the question again next week.
Yeah. I mean, I would love, no, to be honest with you, here's the deal. I would actually like someone like John Royal, who is a knockoff J. Scott Campbell artist. And again, that's nothing against John Royal, but John Royal does a lot of Xenoscope, and I know he's done some Dynamite. I know he's done some Dynamite stuff and stuff like that. I would love him to do a cover. Of course, I would like to do my own covers, but yeah, for a variant, I would like someone who has that 90s Image booby covered covers. And with that,
I could say Eric Basaluda cover from oh my god.
I guess a Frank Cho cover.
Yes, I like Frank Cho a lot. Oh, hey, by the way,
Jim Ballant.
Yes, Jim Ballant. Oh, there you go. And that's what I want. I want someone where, how can I put this, where you can see the line art under the colors.
Right.
I don't like the painted covers, just my preference. I know that they're beautiful, but I don't like that kind of art. I'd rather have line art. So a John Royal, a J. Scott Campbell, a Billy Tucci. I would love to see a Dale Keown. I'd love to see someone really cool from the 90s do a cover for me. But speaking of Frank Cho, have you guys seen the solicitation for his new comic, Fight Girls?
Yep. I got I seen it.
With
hold on, I'll bring
AWA?
AWA.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's AWA.
Oh, is it?
Yep. It's
Fight
AWA.
Girls?
Yep. AWA.
Oh, see, I thought Fight Girls was. Oh, that's the comic company.
Yeah, the company that picked it. Yeah, it's a 5-issue mini.
It looks great, just because it looks like from the interiors that he's shown.
Yeah.
It just looks like girls fighting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scantily clad Frank Cho girls fighting, and that's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I don't even care if there's any story. I just want to see
it probably has
24 pages of Frank Cho.
Yeah.
It probably has like that 70s. You remember the genre of films with the women in the 70s? You know, like the prison films.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
So it's like I think it probably has a vibe of that, but mixed with like the 80s feel.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I
so
love
you guys
it.
can pick up a copy in July 7th.
I think that's great. So all our viewers out there, make sure you pick that up because that's going to be a hot title.
Yeah.
But yeah,
AWA.
I'd love Frank Cho. I'd even like Amanda Connor to do a cover for me.
Oh,
I
that'd be
like her
cool.
stuff. I like you know, all those folks. You know, and like DC wise, I'd love like to see how do you say his name? Ivan Rios. I like all those guys and gals out there who you can still see their ink lines. That's who I'd love to see do a cover for me.
Would you want to see a David Mack cover? Oh my
you know,
God.
No, that's painted.
No,
No,
I cite David Mack as an early influence, but mostly for his creativity. I don't anything that looks like Bill Sienkiewicz or anywhere it's painted abstracty stuff. I'm not a big fan of. I appreciate it, but I'm not a big fan of. And believe it or not, even Jorge or George's Genti, who used to do who's doing US Agent right now. He did like all the Buffy the Vampire series for Dark Horse. And believe it or not, I like his style. It's just stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I thought since we asked him a bunch of questions, I thought I asked you a couple.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But anyway, it's probably getting late. And
so we'll see you guys later. We'll tune in next week. You never know who we got. Yeah, if Anthony gets me another guest, you know I'll be blowing it up again. So
Chloe Grace Moretz is on next Sunday.
Yeah. Chloe Grace Moretz, and then we got Chloe Bennett the next weekend, so you never know.
It's just gonna be Nicolas Cage wearing a wig.
Chloe. Well, Nicolas
Moretz.
Cage played Big Daddy, so you know.
Yeah, we'll check you guys later. So we'll see you next week.
Chloe